So as we move forward, I want to give you this quick warning, whether this applies to you, your family, your personal situation, and how you're interacting with the people around you, or what you see in the media, among, politicians, among influencers, among newscasters, whoever it is, whatever you're seeing. What you've got to realize, and something that is not prevalent in the body of Christ today, in churches today, is recognizing and dealing with spiritual manifestations, especially wicked spirits, especially demonic oppression, and things that, quite frankly, in Jesus's time, when there were demon possessed, when he was delivering people, when he was dealing with Sadducees and Pharisees, he did things to each their own, to whatever situation warranted certain actions. He did these things, and these things are not very prevalent in a lot of churches and in a lot of ministries today. And so I want to give you just this warning to recognize it, because you have to understand and recognize it first, because there's a lot of people, just like in Jesus's time, right? Jesus talked about how John the Baptist, they looked at him, right? They looked at him, they saw him fasting, and they thought he was demon possessed. But yet they looked at Jesus when he was eating, and they thought he was a glutton, right? So it doesn't matter, right, what you're doing. The perception that people have of you, a lot of that is because of the manifestation behind the spirit that is manipulating and influencing them. And so you have to first recognize it. You see some of the news right now with the CNN coverage and just many other newscasters. What you're seeing is this modern day, a lot of people call them, Karens, colloquially speaking, right? So a lot of these videos that you see where people are just, having a fit. I want to speak to the manager. And when they're targeted or confronted with certain things, they will go so far as to defend their action, and they will manifest even more. And so as we get to whether you want to say the end game, more and more people getting cornered, a lot of the deep state, a lot of the people that have done wicked things in high places, as they are getting more and more cornered and saying, hey, and watch the Alvin Bragg, all these DA stuff, you're going to see much more court and legal things, military tribunals, things like that, where these people will come out and vehemently defend themselves and then just start screaming and manifesting. You're seeing it happen right now with the news coverage of various things. People are manifesting in such a way, people in the comment section in my videos, people making other videos about other Christian influencers. So many people are manifesting in a demonic fashion that you have to recognize. You look at somebody and you see, okay, what kind of spirit is on them? A monitoring spirit? Is it just this spirit of jealousy? Is it this spirit, a pharisaical spirit? And right, Jesus even, as I mentioned, when he dealt with these types of people, there were different tactics. One way was that he confronted them directly. He said, "Oh, foolish Galatians, who has bewitched you?" Right? So you could say a lot of people got a little bit antsy about how I said dumb people, right? And so when he said these things, it's like he's literally saying, you stupid or foolish people, like, who has bewitched you? Calling it out directly for the occasion that called for it, maybe in front of other people, exposing them, whatever it was, right? So Jesus, he did certain things. Other times he would say, hey, you need more faith, delivering the demon-possessed boy, right? He says, I think these things, right? Because they were wondering why, the disciples were wondering, why couldn't we cast this out? He says, this kind does not go out except by prayer and fasting. So there are different ways for which he, laid hands, for which he spoke to them directly. And the point here is that first you have to recognize it. You have to see in the world around you with people that you're interacting with. And then as the Lord leads you, begin to pray about how to cast out. Begin to pray about how to pray for. Begin to pray about how to interact and deal with or ignore. Whatever it is that God is leading you to do, the point is that the body of Christ needs to do a better job, honestly speaking, of recognizing, dealing with, and making sure that the demonic oppression, the demonic manifestations that are happening in this hour right now, as things thicken, as the temperature increases, as more and more people are screaming and just like having these fits before they go down, before, Jesus, when he sent the demons into the pigs, right? They were begging him, like, rah, 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 and like manifesting. So these things are happening right now. People don't recognize it. They just think, people are just being themselves. But they're, at the same time, a lot of people that are demonically oppressed, they are wrongfully accusing and pointing, right? You see it on CNN all the time, pointing at Trump, pointing at, it's happening right now in maybe your family, in your friend situations. People are pointing, and they're wrongfully pointing at somebody who is actually holy and doing good things. The same thing happened with John the Baptist when people were like, he's fasting, look at him, that demon, look at them, and just crying out, right? Calling Jesus, it's by the spirit of Beelzebub, blah, 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 right? So these things are happening right now. It's getting thicker, but we have to be able to pray about how to deal with it, how to react to it, and then recognize it. And so these traits, these characteristics, right, these abilities, we have to amplify, we have to upgrade in our ability to fend this off, to defend, to attack, and use the necessary tools that God has given us. So I'm saying this because to each your own, pray about it, look at it as we move forward, recognize it, and then when you're seeing it, deal with it appropriately. I get a lot of attack every day. I see a lot of different things. And I'm not saying just, within this channel or whatever it is, just when as the Lord has opened my eyes to how I look at certain people talking, when I go to an engagement, when I go and see the different people writing comments on other videos, talking about certain people, what they're doing, recognize a spiritual battle. What are they standing for? What do they have to lose? And then see, okay, what kind of spirit is behind that to try to defend and manifest whatever it is that they're doing, right? Because they're kicking and screaming. They're not going to go down without a fight. And so these people, you see it all the time when people get their orders messed up and then they have a raging fit, these viral videos that are out there, all the way down to people that are constantly attacking the people that are doing good. Look how much Trump has taken. Look how much many of these people, patriots, if you want to call them, white hats, Christians, look how much they've been beat down because the demonic oppression, the spiritual warfare, the manifestation of these demonically oppressed and possessed spirits are there trying to attack it. So be more aware of it. We have to step up as a body of Christ. And if this is you struggling with it, ask yourself, Lord, you have to really humble yourself and say, Lord, I need deliverance. I humble myself before you. If there's any wicked way in me, help me to see it and recognize it and then deliver it, right? So other people, they're going to say a lot of different things about, perception of reality. At some point, I have to do some videos to explain some of the stuff, especially the Trump stuff, right? Trump, I believe he's still commander-in-chief right now. If you look at the irrefutable evidence of, for example, flags, gold-trimmed flags, right? There's so much deception going on. Biden being placed there as a tool to, awaken people. This whole facade, this movie that's being played out, the war that's the urgency and what's at stake for all of decades, right? Centuries of this global cabal that's been at the helm of the Federal Reserve, of the banking system, all this stuff. The thickness of this war is so big that people, they see something, they only see it at face value, as I've said before. They see it with one lens. They don't see something else that's going on. And so that's why a lot of us, prophetically speaking, a lot of us Christians that are doing a lot of the research and telling you, as well as getting spiritual insight, we're getting attacked because this perception, right, of what's really going on, who's really president, what's really behind the scenes, is there any action going on, is there any military tribunals going on right now, all this stuff that's happening, it's so thick. And that's why I'm saying that these people, they're on their last breath, right, as well as many other people in your community who's trying to fight for your correct viewpoint. The transgender sports, the LGBTQ stuff, political blah, 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 and all these things that are happening. It's so thick. It breaks my heart in some sense. But I pray that when we get through this time, as the veil is uncovered, as more of the truth comes out, as things come to light, not everything will come to light, right? But for the sake of this battle and what we're fighting for, it's imperative that people continue on with, if you want to say their charade, because there are bigger things at stake than somebody trying to, have a perception check or somebody that's trying to be satisfied and happy about the stuff. Trump, these white hats, they could care less about how they're being perceived right now because there's a bigger agenda happening right now. So take heart, watch for the manifestations, watch for the spiritual demonic warfare that's going on right now and be ready to respond appropriately. So love you guys. Talk to you guys very soon.